Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network. Great to have you with us on the program today. Special guest is Joan Porte. She's the author of Signs of the Times, the ultimate astrological cookbook. She's also been a professional astrologer for more than 30 years, studying under Adam Gainsbourg, world-acclaimed astrologer and founder of Soul Sign Astrology. Joan Porte, our guest on the program. Joan, welcome to the show. Great to have you with us.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. How are you?
Well, I'm doing fine. Hungry after looking through the book here. The book is Signs of the Times, the ultimate astrological cookbook. The website, by the way, signsofthetimes.com. You go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and get all the information on the cookbook. Let's start talking about the cookbook, then we'll talk about some of the astrological background that you have. This really, as I understand, was a labor of love for you. You were able to combine two passions, your love of food as well as the astrological background.
Yeah, well, I grew up in a large Italian family, so what do you do in large Italian families? You eat and you cook. And so my mother was a very good cook. All her sisters are very good cooks. So I've been cooking for years. I mean, we started cooking pretty much when you could reach the stove is when she started teaching you, so which is, again, very typical. So when I started doing astrology, I don't know, about 5 years ago, I kept talking about astrology, talking about cooking, talking about astrology, talking about cooking. And a friend of mine said, well, why don't you? Oh, that makes sense. But I had looked into it, and most, if not all, actually, the cookbooks are, how to eat to attract the perfect mate. If you are a Scorpio and you're looking for but there were no cookbooks that just said, this is a cookbook and have fun with it. And it's just an astrological cookbook, period. So there was nothing like this. So I started working on it, compiling recipes, going through my mom's stuff, beating friends on the head, that sort of thing. And so it was a combination of two things I love to do.
And if you're not even interested in astrology, you've got the recipes I'm looking through these, and these are really good. You could just use this as a regular cookbook.
Oh, sure. But everybody who says, well, I wouldn't use the astrology part, they pick it up, and the first thing they do is they go to the index to find their sun sign. I've noticed that.
Well, I went back and looked. It's like a Gemini. Let's see what I would have here. And bingo. It's like, okay, I like this. So, yeah, we may deny that that's what we're going to do. We're just looking at it for the recipes. We're not looking at it for the astrology.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And like I said, you could know absolutely nothing about astrology. And there are about 120 fun recipes in there. I tried to make it for the person who doesn't know anything, who maybe just knows their sun sign, which of course professional astrologers freak out because sun sign is really, really unimportant, but it's big in the West. So if that's all you know, pick it up and have fun. But then you could take it a little further. Do you know your rising sign? Do you know this? Do you know that? So there's a couple chapters where I say, if you don't want to know this, don't read it. Just get right to the cooking. So it's for anybody with any level or interest in astrology, and that's what makes it fun.
Well, and the couple chapters you're talking about are very easy to read, and you start maybe just sort of scanning them, and all of a sudden you're paying attention, and it's like, yeah, this makes some sense, and I'm finding this interesting. You're listening to This Week in America. Joan Porte, our guest on the program. The book is Signs of the Times, the ultimate astrological cookbook. Our website is signsofthetimes.com. Go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and link on. Joan is going to be with us on a couple of programs, so we'll have plenty of time to talk about her background. I want to talk about, the whole concept of this, and everybody is looking for, what can I do differently for a dinner party? We've exhausted all the old themes out there. What can we do differently? And you're talking about an astro dinner party. Talk about that, because it makes a whole lot of sense, probably never been done in the circle of friends before, and something people will be talking about for a long time.
Well, yeah, if you can do it yourself, but a lot of people do it for a potluck too. So I've done everything. I've done every potluck. I've done the clam bake. I've done everything, the Italian night. What can I do? And I said, it's very simple. Have everybody make something for their sun sign. Again, everybody knows their sun sign, whether they admit it or not. Bring it in, a nondescript bag, stick it in the kitchen, and then put it out on the table. So say the Gemini is going to bring something that they could eat and talk, because Geminis love to talk. And, and the Leo is going to bring something that's very elegant and whatever. So put it out on the table and then say, okay, so-and-so brought this because they are a Gemini, a Leo, or whatever. And it's a good conversation stimulant. And it's fun. It's just a very different way to have a potluck. Now, if you're a very good cook and you're a very nice friend and you want to make all these things for your friends, then, so, okay, my friend, the Taurus is coming. I've got to make something creamy, and then put it out there and say, okay, based on your sun sign, which one would you take? And again, it's just a fun thing. And I've had a couple people do it, friends of mine, and they're like, this is really fun. Let's do more of this. Of course, they want me to do all the cooking, but, so it's just a fun way, because, you can entertain 1,000 different ways. And, eventually you're going to come back to the same old stuff again. So it's a way just to do something fun and different and new.
Well, it's interesting too. And I got a couple minutes left in the segment where in the book, you're bringing in famous people. And like an Elvis, for example, he was sort of destined not to be able to stop gorging.
Yeah, it's that Leo and influence on him. Yeah. Well, they were the king. I mean, look at Henry VIII. I mean, he was the epitome of the king who didn't stop eating, right? They are the kings of the zodiac. They don't want to be told things. They're fixed signs. They're fire signs. They're stubborn. So they don't want to be told things, and they want to eat like they're supposed to eat. I eat the way I'm intended because I'm the king. And so, yeah, they can get a little bit overboard. Tauruses can too, not because they're a little imperious, but because they're very tactile and they love the creams and the sauces and all these things that, get to be a little bit too much for you. Whereas the Virgos, they run around and, what did I put in there? Carrot, chips, and yogurt, for goodness sakes.
Yes.
They're always running around being healthy. So there's some very important things that follow each sign that, unless you're very strong, and he had a lot of that in his chart, it's very hard to overcome.
Well, you've created like this whole new category, astrological gastronomy. You should open restaurants around the country because when you think about this, and as you're talking there, I can see people standing around. There's so many different, you don't have to worry about what are we going to do to keep the conversation going, because basically all the different foods will keep the conversation going, themselves. It's a fascinating book. Signs of the Tines, Tines, is the name of the book, The Ultimate Astrological Cookbook. Joan Porte has been our guest on the program. Porte is Porte. Her website is signsoftheTines.com. Information, of course, at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Joan will be back with us to talk more about the cookbook, Signs of the Tines. Joan, thank you for joining us. Look forward to having you back on the program.
Thank you.
You're listening to This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network.